What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into a special video, podcast, video, however you want to look at it, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. I am joined with my co-host of the Draft Room, JD. JD, how we doing today?
Doing great, my guy.
JD, we're here not talking about draft. Usually when I have you next to me, we're talking NFL draft. We're diving into all the news. Not doing that today. We're doing a special video. It's been what? The trade deadline in the NHL was Friday. We're sitting here on Sunday. So it's about 2 days after.
Yeah, 2 days after.
We're here to talk about a little NHL trade deadline news. Before we get into everything, though, let me go through the housekeeping. One, if you're not in the MVP Discord, join it now. Link down below in the description. You can also check out our Patreon link or become a channel member to get awesome perks and support the channel. Go ahead, if you like this video, hit that like button. Really helps with the algorithm. If you want to stay tuned to everything we're doing here at MVP, hit that sub button. And then NHL fans, tell us what you guys think down below. But JD, how we have it here is we got some teams, and I'm circling. I don't have my pen active, but I'm circling, go circling, because we have 7 teams that we're going to talk about in this video. Some winners, some losers, some just to talk about because they made a move and they're neither a winner or a loser. Let's start with the positive. Let's start with the good guys. And we're going to start with the team that many think, I mean, they did, but many people think they won the trade deadline, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights. Before I ask you the question, I'll set it up. They first make a move for Anthony Mantha, guy I love from the Capitals. Then they go out, I think it was the night after, we were hanging out, and you're like, dude, they just traded for Noah Hannafin from the Flames. Then they go out on Friday and say, we're not done. They were trying to get in on the Tyler Toffoli action that was going on. He goes elsewhere. We'll get into that. But they lock up right before the deadline Thomas the Ninja Hurdle from the San Jose Sharks. So they get Mantha, Hannafin, Hurdle. JD, the question is simple. Did the Golden Knights win the NHL trade deadline?
Yeah, I think they easily won the deadline by a landslide because we're pretty much talking in real time every time a trade broke for Vegas, and I'm like, oh, they got, like you said, they got Anthony Mantha. I like Anthony Mantha, so do you. And then, like you said, the next day, oh, they came out of nowhere and got Noah Hannafin because all the rumors leading up were that he was either going to go to Florida or Tampa. So that caught me off guard. And again, I love it. I mean, Vegas has really built their team on defense and good. Like they probably have the best defense pairings in the league. I was very happy with that, with what they did there. And then, like you said, then they just continued to add. And, I think they easily, like I said, won the deadline. They won the cup last year, and they improved. Like, not many teams, I feel like, especially in hockey, are able to win the cup and then just get better. The only 2 teams I can think of that did that in recent memory are the Blackhawks, and you can argue the Lightning. And I think Vegas now is on track to repeat as Stanley Cup champion.
Now, the thing here that we do have to mention, and I'm looking it up here, this was from February 12th. So with Hurdle, so it says here, and I'm looking at Daily Faceoff, which I use for up-to-date lines because teams are changing their lines every day. It says here, Hurdle will undergo a surgical procedure to clean out loose cartilage in his left knee and is expected to be out several weeks. So he's not going to be with the team right away. He's not going to be on the ice with the team, but hey, we're going to get him at some point. Here's the thing I love about this, and for those of you out there, the Golden Knights are my team. Little history about me in case you're just tuning into a video. Hockey was I watched hockey, started getting into it when I was a kid, but I didn't really have a team. The Blackhawks sucked. I played NHL on my Xbox. NHL Hits was my jam. I was kind of JD, I tell you this all the time. If the lockout of like I think it was the lockout in 2003, 2004?
2004.
2004. That makes sense because I would have been like 8th grade at that time. If that lockout never happened, I'd be a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. I loved the Lightning. I loved their jerseys back in the 2000s. I would have been a Lightning fan if that lockout didn't happen. And basically, I couldn't watch hockey for a year, which is why I disconnected. Then became a Blackhawks fan during the Cup because obviously living in Chicago, you're going to come in. And plus, my sister's boyfriend at the time was a huge hockey fan. But then I was kind of in limbo. And I was like, I need a team. And the Kraken came around. And I was like, you know what? I'm going all in on this new team. And guess what, JD? I never went all in on them. I said I was going to go all in. I never went all in. To be honest, couldn't tell you a thing about the Kraken besides Philip Grubauer was our top pick. That's the only thing I knew about that team. But now I'm dating my current girlfriend from Vegas, huge Golden Knights fan. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to become a Knights fan because then we could have a like rooting interest and I don't have to root against her when the Kraken play. And then they win the Cup. So, I mean, I'm the good luck charm. Let's just say that. Like, I come in, the Golden Knights finally get it done. She continues to make fun of me that she sees me still as a Kraken fan and not a Golden Knights fan. But with this team, the reason why I love these moves the most is number one, this team started the season playing well, JD. Once Jack Eichel got injured, we suck. We sucked as soon as Eichel went out. It's like we couldn't win a game. Every game was the worst. And now also Jack Eichel coming back. Okay, good news for the Golden Knights. Guess what? Mark Stone, our captain, he has a lacerated spleen. He's going to miss the rest of the year. So that makes a huge hole to me on the right side of the ice. Basically, that second wing right wing second line is what I'm trying to say. We have a huge hole there. Well, guess what? Anthony Mantha comes in. Cool. Fit him there. Like you said, bringing in Hannafin, creating a more sound defensive pairing, which, like you said, I love our pairings. Love Hannafin, love Picciolangelo, Theodore, McNabb, love them all. Martinez as well when he's healthy. But the thing is, once Hurdle comes back, that even makes us stronger. And I'll ask you, when Hurdle comes back, what do you do with this Golden Knights team? Do you play him at the center position, or do you move him to a winger? Do you move someone else to a winger? Because right now, the centers that we have, I like all four of them. Our pairings right now, I'll let you know. Eichel's our first line center. Stevenson's our second line center. Carlson's our third line center. Maybe we bump him to the wing. Hurdle goes right there. And then Nicholas Roy, however you say it, he's our fourth line center.
Yeah, so I was just pulling up Daily Faves up to take a look at that. But honestly, so with a guy like Hurdle, maybe what I would do to start, because again, he's somebody who, like, yeah, he's been hurt, but I look at it kind of like the Eichel trade, where you guys pick up an injured guy, kind of rehabilitate him, even though Eichel is already recovering. And then, yeah, I think he'll be ready for playoffs. Maybe he might get a game in before the playoffs. But what I would do there is, I think Hurdle's a player that needs to play in the top 6.
Okay.
To be effective. So what I'm thinking there is you start him maybe for a game or two on the wing. And then, because personally he's a natural center in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would not move him down. I think if you were to move Stevenson down to the third line, third line center, I think that'd be more effective. And then you can move Carlson to the wing. I think that would be the way to go there.
The thing I just love about it is it gives the Golden Knights options. Gives them options of what we want to do, where we go. Because the one thing that and it's interesting to see if this will happen. The thing I've noticed this year is pretty much it was Stoner and March Assault were kind of interchangeable. There'd be games where we play Stoner on that top right wing, and then we have March Assault come down to the second line, and then vice versa. And I wonder if they're going to do that with maybe March Assault and Mantha, or if it's just like, hey, dude, Jonathan, that's your first line now with Eichel. I wonder if they were changing it because Eichel was out, and now that Eichel's back, like that pairing just stays the same of Barbashev, Eichel, and March Assault. But I love the options for this team, and this is a team that needed it because JD, without these trades, I was worried if we were even going to repeat, not just repeat, let alone make the playoffs potentially. I was worried we were going to keep losing and then fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah. So like I have daily faceoff here pulled up because I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
now. I think a good move here because you're not going to take Michael Amadio out of the third line spot. He's been doing really well. So I think the guy that comes out of the lineup could be Keegan Kolesar.
Mm-hmm.
And then because that second line, I think if you were to add because I think at first what they'll do is, like I said, take Kolesar out.
Mm-hmm.
You can add Hurdle to that second line and have a second line of Hurdle, Stevenson, and Mantha.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can probably move Pavel Doriev.
Yeah.
I butchered that one, but move you could probably honestly move him down to the third or fourth line,
Mm-hmm.
and in Kolesar's spot. But yeah, I think we'll get into it later. But a
Yeah.
certain team, um, basically didn't do this. But what you guys did is, like you said, you guys were struggling for that playoff spot, and you guys needed a jolt. So you kind of acknowledge that your team's a little bit older, so you
Mm-hmm.
want to maximize the window. So you guys just went all out for Hurdle. The Hurdle move, you guys didn't give up much at all,
Yeah.
really. So it's like a low risk, high reward type situation. And yeah, you guys went all in, and we'll talk about it later in a later video about
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Cup predictions. But this deadline might have changed my answer that you and I talked about
About us
before.
maybe winning the cup
Yeah,
back to back. The
yeah.
last team to do it, was that the Red Wings still? Are they still the last
Back
team
to
to
back?
do it, or was that the
No, the Lightning won
Hawks?
back to back.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They did.
Yeah, because they almost repeated.
They did. Let's move on though. Different team. This is the team before the Golden Knights got Hannafin and before they got Thomas Hurdle. This was the team I thought was going to be the winner of the deadline. It's the Florida Panthers. Basically, because of one move alone, Vladimir Tarasenko. This is one where as soon as they traded for him, I'm like, man, that top line, like their first two lines now become absolutely dirty. And it looks like so the first game they had Tarasenko out there. Let's be honest, they got creamed. They lost that game, couldn't score any goals. I was almost like, what's going on in Florida? They trade for Vladimir and he can't even score. They can't even score. But
Yeah.
they get him. They also get Acapulco from the Buffalo Sabres. And now this is a team on their top two lines, JD, running So the top line is from left to right, Tarasenko, Barkov, and Reinhardt. And then line two is Verhaeghe, Bennett, and of course the points machine for the Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk. Looking at this, the Panthers are a team. They're already going to have everything against them, JD, because they're probably going to be the top team in the East this year. Funny how much happens in a year, going from the 8th seed and going all the way to the Cup to now carrying that momentum in. They're the number 1 seed right now in their respective conference. They're going to have all that going against them. Is this going to help them, or is it not going to matter because usually the top seed isn't the one that wins the Cup for some odd reason?
Yeah, it definitely makes them better. I think was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I think
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I think Tarasenko might have had a hat trick, if I'm not mistaken.
I know the second game he played a lot better than the first game. First game there
Okay,
was
so
definitely some rust there.
yeah, so they beat Calgary 5-1, and he had 2 goals.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's gonna take a minute because the thing is, kind of like we kind of skipped over it with the Golden Knights,
Mm-hmm.
but in hockey, obviously you need that chemistry, so it might take Tarasenko a few games
Mm-hmm.
to mesh with on that top line. But I mean, that's a very good top line. Obviously, you have Tarasenko, Barkov, and Reinhart. Like you said, Reinhardt's having the best goal scoring season of his career.
Can I jump in
So
and ask you a question, cut you off and ask you
yeah,
this?
yeah,
In your mind, because right now we're sitting about some teams have played 65 games, some have played 66.
yeah,
There's literally like maybe what I'm looking at this 3 points between the top four teams in the league. In your mind, who is the President's Trophy at the end of the year? The Panthers at 92 right now, the Canucks at 91, the Bruins at 91, or the Stars at 89. Rangers are 86, but 86, they have a chance,
yeah.
but just those top four are literally 3 points between all three of them.
I think the Panthers are gonna win the President's Trophy. The Canucks have really struggled
Mm-hmm.
the last month, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they'll turn it around, but I think they've kind of lost ground. The Bruins, just been consistent,
Mm-hmm.
but the Panthers have been really good. And like I said, I think they got better. So I don't really see a world where they lose steam heading into the playoffs. I think they win the President's Trophy.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. I was cutting you off.
But
That's a thought just came to
yeah,
my mind.
but like so, I mean, I'm just gonna like take away the fact that the President's Trophy winner doesn't really win the cup, just
Mm-hmm.
because I mean you're right, and again that's something we'll talk about in a different video.
Yeah.
But I mean, just on paper, they've gotten better. They've gotten that experience from last year, and
Mm-hmm.
adding Tarasenko, who won a cup, also helps.
Mm-hmm.
When he won the cup with the Blues. So yeah, and I mean Okposo, I like I guess he's just a depth forward right now,
Mm-hmm.
or he might be hurt maybe, but I mean again a veteran to add to the team. Um, again they didn't do much, but what they did was quite effective in my opinion.
So correct me if I'm wrong, JD. How? Because yet again, playoff seedings. I'm trying to think of this because it's a little bit weird than every other sport.
Mhm.
Basically, how the playoff seeding works, if you're the best team, like right now, the Panthers have the best record in
Yeah,
the Eastern Conference. They would play the lower record of the wild card teams, and
yeah.
then
So they
basically the Rangers, who are the first in the Metro, they would play then the
the
top
best
wild card team.
yeah. So if the playoffs were to start today, the
Mm-hmm.
Panthers would play the Red Wings
Yep.
and the Rangers would
Perfect.
play the Lightning.
Perfect. My question for you, because really to me, coming down the stretch for the wild card in the East, based on points, because you have the Lightning and the Red Wings are already in the wild card. The
Yeah.
Islanders are only 2 points back of those Red Wings,
They play tonight.
and they play tonight against the Ducks as we're recording this
Yeah.
on Saturday. Washington's at 69 points. I guess you could say that they're in the mix as well. Let's say, sake of argument, Panthers Red Wings is your matchup round one. Is there any way the Red Wings upset the Panthers, or would that be like are we looking at as Panthers Bruins last year, or is this like a hey, the Panthers can move on and it's the second round where we'd have to start worrying about them
Um, I do the
unless they
Red
play the
Wings
Leafs in the second
I
round, but that might
I
not
give the
happen.
Red I give the Red Wings maybe a game,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but I don't know. As of right now, I think it's a clean sweep.
Yep.
I just I don't think the Red Wings are very good. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're a very flawed team and they're very streaky.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're still young, so you give them the benefit of the doubt. But I I think the Panthers are in a different class than the Red Wings.
Do the Islanders change it? Can the to me the Islanders are the only team of possible opponents for them that could maybe have a small possibility of upsetting them. Not saying they do.
Yeah, so honestly, just gonna pull back the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually looking about this and talking about this with some buddies today,
Okay.
and I genuinely think the Islanders are gonna leap the Red Wings
Yep.
tonight and make the playoffs
Do they
over the
leap? Do
Wings.
they leap the Lightning? Do the Lightning
No,
fall to that second
no,
spot?
no.
Okay.
The Lightning are starting to roll, so I mean, I just think the Islanders are going to squeak into the playoffs.
All
So
right.
then they would play the Lightning, or they would play the Panthers in my scenario.
Yep.
And I would give them maybe a game or two just because they have that playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they know how to kind of muddy up a game. But then the only thing is the Panthers, that's their type of game. They're the
Yeah.
masters at that. They love slowing it down
Uh-huh.
and dragging you through the mud.
See,
So,
JD, I have a different mindset. If I was the Panthers,
mhm.
I would be trying. I wouldn't be trying to win their division, and here's why. You want to know why?
What?
Number one, I wouldn't be the President's Trophy winner, which is good for me. Number two, if I fall to two, let the Bruins have number one. I get the Maple Leafs in the first round. That's an easy. That's a clean. We're going on to the second round, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dig from me to you. I'm sorry.
What do you want me to say? Again, spoiler, there'll be somebody we talk about later.
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna have to have my pen ready for that one. But
Yeah.
let's move on then to the last winner we have down here, and that is the Winnipeg Jets, where it was so funny the night that the Golden Knights made that trade for Noah Hannafin. You and I were talking, and I had mentioned it was that day, or you might have mentioned it. You mentioned it, and then so early on, the Devils were like, we're not going to make Tyler Toffoli available.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said that night, I believe it was Wednesday night? No. Yeah.
The Thursday.
So it was Thursday night. You mentioned like, oh, Toffoli's available. And I'm like, what? And you're like, the Golden Knights are going after him. I'm like, oh man, we need to get Toffoli. Literally woke up the next day, Toffoli's a Jet. And it's like, oh, well, I guess we're not getting Toffoli. So they get Tyler Toffoli. They also make a trade for defenseman Colin Miller as well on deadline day itself. Looking at their lines, let me pull them up to see if Daily Faceoff has the updated lines, if they put them in there.
No, they didn't.
So Toffoli's not in there right now. Neither is Colin Miller. So I get to ask you, JD, how do you fit? You're the head coach of the Jets. Congratulations. How do you fit him into these pairings? Where do you fit this Toffoli Lego piece in?
So I'm gonna start with Colin Miller. I think he can easily fit in as I think he's more of a depth or third pair kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can do now I'm just gonna be completely honest here. I'm not super familiar with the Jets. I haven't watched many Jets games this year. But I would pull him. I would put Colin Miller as the third pairing with replace Dylan Sandberg.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have a nice Nate Schmidt and Colin Miller third line or third pairing, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Tyler Toffoli, I mean, I think you can that's the thing. Their wingers on the Jets are
so good. I don't know if I touched their first two lines.
Yeah, I would say,
just for the sake of argument, so everyone knows, the two lines that Daily Faceoffs has, from left to right on the first line, Connor, Scheifele, Namestikoff. Then on the second line, Ehlers, Moynihan, which is from the Canadians, and then Afalo is their left to right for the top two lines.
Yeah, honestly, I think you could put Toffoli. I think he could work on the third line. I think maybe you can move Appleton down to the fourth line, and then slot Toffoli there. And before people are like, "Oh, well, JD, that's crazy. Toffoli's too good to be in the bottom six." I mean, again, the Leafs did that last year with Ryan O'Reilly. They moved him down to third line for a little bit, and he torched third lines or fourth lines of other teams. So I mean, it's not the be all end all. He'll still get his minutes. And or you can move him to the first line and replace Namestnikov and move Namestnikov down. But I wouldn't touch that second line. That second line's been pretty good.
I'm gonna say something even dirtier, JD, that people might disagree with. I don't touch either of the first two lines. I put him basically on that third line and have my third line left to right, Niederreiter, Lowry, Toffoli. I put them in that right side. And you're like, Ricky, why are you putting him on the third line? He deserves more minutes. More importantly, what I do is I go to the power play units and I go, all right, Toffoli, you're going to play right wing for us. Or you can maybe move, I don't know if you want to move Nino to the right side. I just know Toffoli's played right and left. He was playing left most of the time in New Jersey this year. But with the power play units, tell me if I'm crazy for this. I take Sean Moynihan, who they have as their first line power play right winger. I move him to the second power play unit. Someone's getting bounced. Either Point or Schmidt gets bounced from that second power play unit, and I put either Nino, Ehlers, or Moynihan at that D spot, kind of that slap shot. I don't know if either of those would fit there, and that's dumb. That's why I'm just throwing this out here. More importantly, I put Toffoli. It's basically Toffoli, Afalo, Scheifele are my forwards on that first power play, and that's where he gets most of his minutes on this team.
Yeah, I like that because Toffoli is a power play specialist. Like he does really well in the power play. So I think that could work. I think you might put him on the second unit.
Either or. But is he the guy I'm looking at to be he'll be on the second unit, but he's in that defenseman spot? Because usually teams go, like, I know they do this more with the first line than the second line, but they usually have their slap shot specialist, like in this case, or like their main winger that can just load up. Like for the it's Kyle Connor for the Jets on their first unit. And then the second unit is the one, okay, we have two defensemen. Do we put Toffoli with a defenseman at that spot and just pass it out to him and say, we're just going to give it to you? You just slap it at the net.
No, like personally, I think Toffoli's better on the outside, so he has more room to operate around. But then I'm thinking maybe you can move, like you can move Ehlers maybe, or like, maybe move Ehlers to that point spot. But again, I don't know if you want to sacrifice Ehlers' ability in front of the net. Like the good thing about this is they have
options.
Too many options. Yeah, they have too many options. That's not a bad thing.
Or, and this is also going to sound stupid, do you basically just have it, okay, basically Namestikov, you get bounced out of that unit, Moynihan comes to that center spot, Toffoli goes where Moynihan is on the right side of that top wing.
That's an option. I just like Namestikov as like the guy who's in front of the net is kind of like that bumper because he's a big body.
People are going to have a field day, by the way, with me and these names.
Yeah.
Me and Russian names or these Baltic, right? It would be Baltic region names.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's
not going to go. Like, I heard you say it and I was like, yep, that's how you say that name. I totally butchered that one.
Yeah.
Say it again for me so I can really get it.
Namestikov.
See, I've heard this name before, but why didn't you correct me when I said Namestikov?
Man, there's no correcting you. You have Spencer Dinwiddle.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddle.
And I think people can be okay with you because you're not Russian. So, like I said, the only reason why I know these names is because I've watched
Call of Duty taught me well. No Russian.
Yeah,
no Russian, JD. So that's going to do it for our winners. Before we get into the losers, we got one team that just kind of there. Like, they made a deal that was kind of shocking, and it was a 1-for-1 deal. They're also a team that I believe is dealing with injuries, quite a bit of them. It seems like this team has an avalanche that keeps taking out their players, but it is the Colorado Avalanche. They make a 1-for-1 deal. They send Bowen Byram to the Buffalo Sabres. They get Casey Middlestad in return. JD, when I was looking on Twitter, this was a shock to everyone because no one expected this to happen.
Yeah, if you could look at the tea leaves, maybe we should have expected something because earlier that day they traded for Sean Walker as well.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're like, oh wow, well, like they have Bowen Byram, Sean Walker. Who's the odd man out? Like their defense is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so then obviously they trade Bowen Byram away and for Casey Middlestat. And yeah, I mean, they put him on the second line center, and I think that's it was surprising. I mean, nobody heard anything about that move at all, and I mean he fills a void because
Mm-hmm.
there's been like no Landon Skog because of his injury, and hopefully he's recovering okay. And but like you said, they've been hurt all year, so they need to do something to shore up that top six. And I think Middlestat's going to fit in because he's on a line with Giroux and
Mm-hmm.
Nichushkin. So, yeah, but like the Sean Walker deal, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Sean Walker's so good, and especially putting him on that bottom pairing,
Yeah.
I think that's a like tidy bit of business. And also, they didn't give up a lot. Like Bowen Byram is a good prospect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like what I was saying before we went on air here.
Yeah.
Um, that it's a win-win. Like I guess as a Avalanche fan, it probably sucks to lose Byram and his potential. And I mean, because coming out of junior, he
Mm-hmm.
was thought of as a can't miss top pairing defenseman. And I mean, he hasn't necessarily been that, but he's still so young.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Buffalo got it. They,
Dude,
Buffalo's defense in a few years is gonna be unreal.
I was gonna say, and he's played 2 games with Buffalo. He came in that first game. He played on Thursday night. They lost 4-2. He they lost 4-2 to Nashville, but in what 25 minutes on the ice, he had 3 shots and accounted for both of their goals in that game. He scored one and assisted on one. Game
Yeah.
2, different bit of a story. He was a -1 instead of a +1. Had 4 shots, but in a 3-2 shootout win against the Edmonton Oilers, almost 26 minutes on the ice, didn't get a point in game 2. So,
Yeah.
yet again, you're not going to get a point every single game if you're a defenseman. But if I'm the Sabres, I'm especially with that opening game that he had for the Sabres, I'm very happy with Byram. And like you said, their defense, like their pairings right now, if I go back to it and you can kind of tell me who's the young guys in here. But their Sabres, that is. First line defensemen are Dahlin and Byram. Then you got second line is Power and this is gonna be a name. This is gonna be a name.
Yeah. Try to say it.
Yokiharu?
Yeah.
Yokiharu?
Yokiharu.
Yokiharu. And then third line is Bryson and Clifton.
Yeah. So the young guys are Darlene is
I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for that.
Yeah. Darlene is like I would say like he's not
he's their best
anymore.
defenseman. He's their best defenseman.
Yeah, like he's not young no more.
Mm-hmm. He ain't young no more.
Nah, but like he's not old. Like what I want to say, what is he? He's 20.
I gotcha. He is 23.
Oh, he's only 23.
He's
okay,
23.
Yeah, so he's still young, but he's not.
He's got experience. That's what you're trying to say.
He feels like he's been in the league for a while. Bowen Byram, again, 22 years old, and again, he was a top prospect, and he's been up and down. But again, for a defenseman being 22 years old and playing like 26 minutes a night or 25 minutes a night, I mean, pretty impressive. Owen Power was the #1 pick.
Yeah.
From a few years ago. Only 21 years old, and he's been good this year. So and then Yokiharu even, he is also, so he's 24. Like they just have a young decor, and the scary part is they could have 3 #1 defensemen on this team. Like between
just because of how young they are.
Yeah, between Byram, Darlene, and Power, and then Yokiharu could even be like just a solid second pair option for his career. So I mean, as a Leafs fan, I mean, I'm not looking forward to that Sabres defense moving forward. They could use a little bit of size though. Like maybe some more stay-at-home defenseman.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the meantime, I mean, if I was a Sabres fan, I'd just be having a lot of fun watching this D pair or these D pairs go.
JD, you mentioned the team. I'm gonna let you roll with it, brother. So those of you out there that are probably a part of Leafs Nation have probably already watched Steve Dangle's reaction to it. But JD, I get to ask you point blank. I get to have my pen clicked out and ready because I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. Connor Dewar? He the guy? He the guy? He the only guy?
I mean, I'm gonna add the other additions into this whole
Connor
concept
Dewar,
here.
he the guy.
Yeah, like first of all, I'm just gonna say again, I'm truth be told, I used to be very deep in the weeds with hockey. It was my sole thing, like in life. So this is a little embarrassing for me to say, but at the same time, I'm not like that with hockey anymore. But I had no idea who this Connor Dewar guy is. Never heard of him in my life. Maybe, I thought it could be a made up name, but looking at his analytics and other people, like specifically with the Minnesota Wild fan base,
Mm-hmm.
he's a defensively sound player. Again, he's tenacious. Uh, he hits. He's not the tallest guy. I mean, he has 14 points in like 50 games or whatever, so not great. But I mean, the thing I don't like is the fact that the Leafs give up a 4th-round pick in 2026. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in in reality, it's not that big of a deal because it's 3 drafts from now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also or 2 drafts from now, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's just you don't have much draft capital to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to give up a 4th for Connor Dewar. And again, I know there's other things that happened which kind of was why they couldn't do this. But the Lightning gave up a 5th-round pick for Matt Dumba, who
Mm-hmm.
is somebody that could have been in your top 4 defensive pairing.
Dumba was
And that,
he was with the Coyotes, right?
yeah. Yeah, and they gave up a 5th-round pick for
Okay.
him. Now, this is where my issues come in.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at Ilya Lyubushkin. He was on the
Mm-hmm.
Leafs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, solid pickup, did well for us.
Mm-hmm.
But as a bottom pairing, or I think, yeah, he played with Riley. But on a championship team,
Mm-hmm.
he's either a 7th defenseman, so just sitting on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
or he's a 3rd pair kind of guy.
Okay.
The Leafs have him playing with their top defenseman
Mm-hmm.
in Morgan Riley. And Lyubushkin, he brings size and grit, which is something the Leafs need. And I love that. He gets the crowd going. I mean, great. But you gave up I want to say that, yeah, we gave up a 3rd and a 5th,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, for him. Again, that's somebody that you could argue you could have gotten off of waivers, and you gave
Mm-hmm.
up that much for him. And he's a right shot defenseman, which is something that we needed. Then you look at Joel Edmondson. Again, apparently a great locker room guy. He loves getting into the scrums. He's slower than molasses. And he's a left shot D, which we don't need. We have too many of them.
Mm-hmm.
We gave up what did we give up for him? A 3rd-round pick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you give up a 3rd for a guy, again, who you could have gotten off waivers. And sure, he adds grit and size. Good, you need that. But in the game yesterday, I watched a bit of the Leafs and Canadiens game yesterday. The defense still doesn't look much better. They're still getting hemmed in their zone. Oh, by the way, the Leafs are now one of the worst puck moving defenseman teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They have like 2 or 3 guys who can move the puck. And my whole anger comes from the fact that you have Austin Matthews. I don't care if I'm biased and I'm going to get hate for this. He is the best American player to ever play the game of hockey. If he were to retire today, he would be a Hall of Famer. And
correct me if I'm wrong. McDavid and Bedard are both Canadian, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So
trying to think who would be in the category for that. American
Patrick Kane.
Sid the Kid is Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Taves, was he Canadian or American?
Yeah,
Because I know he went to
Canadian.
North Dakota.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Okay. Kaner. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think. McKinnon, was McKinnon
he's
American?
Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Americans didn't.
Hyman's Canadian, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
Draisaitl.
he's German.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so you have Austin
We
Matthews.
really don't just load up the stat sheet there, boys.
No. So, but yeah, so you have Austin Matthews who's having an unreal season even to his standards. He's could score 70 goals this year. And I get it. Believe me, I was not a fan of this Leafs team for most of the year. And even still, I still have my questions about them.
Is he
But you have
better than Mike Modano?
I mean, I would say so.
Okay. Okay. I
But
kind of
but but
cut you
Mike
off there.
Modano, no, it's all good. But
I just remember him from my childhood. Like,
yeah.
everyone loved Mike Modano.
Yeah. So, but with Matthews, you have him. This team, they like we did it for a while. Oh, we don't want to trade this prospect, or this prospect because we could need them in a few years. Dang, guys, you guys, we have not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. We can't keep pushing it down the road and maybe we'll be good in 5 years. No, you have Austin Matthews who is in the prime of his career, a generational superstar, and you just no, okay, let's keep our first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep Fraser Mitten, who's going to be a good player.
The most important thing too is I was looking. I got this from the Dangle reaction video because they showed it. Is you guys have picks this year, but next year's draft class,
Yep,
you have like none.
Picks.
You
have
none.
nothing until the 5th round.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. You want to at least build your prospect pool up because we have the 28th ranked prospect pool in the league.
Yeah.
But you need to win a Stanley Cup.
No,
because this is all going to be not for nothing if we have the 28th ranked farm system in the league and we don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not going to matter.
That was the first swear you put in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't miss one.
And it's just like I get it. The trade market wasn't hot, but again, you're telling me if we don't make this Joel Edmondson trade or Ilya Lyubushkin trade, we could have traded for Matt Dumba, especially clearly since his market wasn't super great because considering they only gave up a 5th round pick for him, which he would have solved the need in the top 4. You could have at least made a competitive offer for Noah Hannafin. That would have required some like a roster player probably to get traded, but you needed that. You needed a top defenseman in this team. I mean, again, it's only been one game with all these guys in it, but they haven't looked much better. They've looked the same. And this team is going to go as far as Austin Matthews, William Nylander, John Tavares, Mitch Marner. They're good. Like, they'll go as far as those guys take them.
Yeah.
And you got to hope, like, because Connor Dewar, again, might be a great penalty kill guy for us, which we could use. But he's not going to bag goals for us in the playoffs, I would imagine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will say this. The only way I knew who Connor Dewar is, and this is going to be very obscure, and people are going to go, what? I keep track of first goal scorers, and I have a spreadsheet of, let me pull up the spreadsheet, by the way, JD. I have a spreadsheet that I keep track of, like, the last 10 guys for every team to score the first team goal of their game. And I only know his name because for the Wild 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 games ago, he scored the first goal for them two games in a row. It's the only reason I knew who he was because 5 and 6 games ago, he was the 4th line center and the 3rd line center in those games. Scored the first Minnesota Wild goal and first game goal too. It was the first goal of the game. So people who had that probably cashed out on some money. It's the only reason why I keep track of it. But also, I did look this up, JD. ESPN had a list. Don't know the date from this is from. Their top 5. They did 20. I'm only going to list the top 5. Yeah. American-born hockey players. Do you want it from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
5 to 1.
Number 5, Jack Eichel.
Okay.
Number 4, Pat LaFontaine. LaFontaine?
LaFonte.
Mike Modano at 3.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews at 2. Kaner at 1.
Yeah,
You gotta do the Kaner. They
Yeah, I
got
mean,
Kaner. However, more names on this list. Jeremy Roenick.
mhm.
You got Jonathan Quick is on this list. Chris Chelios is on this list. They also have John Carlson, Mark Howell.
Mhm.
A lot of them are old. Not too many
Yeah.
present day.
I would imagine the reason why they gave it to Kane is because he's been in the league.
He's got a ton of. He's got like
Yeah, and he has
383 goals at the
Yeah, and
time.
he has cups.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, I imagine Matthews will be the better player. I still think he is, but I mean, that's a different argument.
Is it the Rocket? Is the Rocket the one for most goals in the season?
Yeah.
He's going to be the Rocket this year, right?
Yeah, this will be his third Rocket.
Okay. Because like he was on a tear.
I mean, I don't know if
goals.
he will win, but he'll be a Hart nominee, which is
Okay.
MVP, and the same thing with Ted Lindsay.
Yeah.
And he's already won both those trophies. So I mean, he could potentially be a 2-time MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
JD, I'm going to call an audible here at the end. We've kind of
Yeah.
gone long in the tooth with this video, and I don't want this to be an hour and a half podcast. Last thing we're going to do, I'm going to go first to give you time to think because I'm throwing this audible ad on you. We get one more team each.
Okay.
One more team each to kind of rant about or talk about. Mine is a loser. And JD, this might make you happy. It might not. What are the Penguins doing? What did like the Leafs? You just ranted about the Leafs. You have to be happy that Dumas, right? Dumas, that's the dude's name. Dubas. I knew it was do something. He's a dumbass. Is basically what he is. I saw the trade package that they got for Grunzel, and I was like, "What? Huh? That is what you get for one of the best wingers in this league?" Like I looked at it, JD, and you know what my first thought was? He just wanted a Leaf back. He just wanted Michael Bunting back.
Well, that was,
he just wanted a Leaf.
Yeah, like again, Penguins fans, you've already started to learn about Kyle Dubas. I'm gonna steal a bit from Steve Dangle.
Yeah,
he loves his guys. Don't worry, you'll be very familiar with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds because that's who you're gonna be. Your number one draft picks are gonna be from.
What league do they play in?
The OHL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
he loves his guys.
Yeah, I mean, free agency when there's Leafs that walk, promise you they'll be a Penguin.
Do you think he's called about Austin Matthews and they just hung the phone up?
Probably Sidney Crosby for Austin Matthews.
The full trade, for those who didn't know, the Hurricane get Grunzel and Ty Smith. Pittsburgh got Michael Bunting, Ville Kovulin. They also got Ponomarev, Lucius, a conditional 2024 first, and a conditional 2024 fifth. But I think it's if the, and I have to, somebody stat check me if I'm wrong. I think that conditional first is only if the Hurricane go to like the conference final or something like that. It's either the conference final or the Stanley Cup. So it's like, you better hope the Hurricanes are going to be the ones to win it, or else you ain't getting that first round pick.
Yeah.
Why would you do a conditional first in that? I would just say, no, I want a first. He's Jake Grunzel.
Yeah. I mean, Gensel is pretty good.
Gensel.
He
put an R in it.
Yeah, it's okay. It was such a strange move. Like, I get it. Okay, so you get Michael Bunting, who adds some more tenacity to your team.
Mm-hmm.
But, and he has some years of control, which I guess is good.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Bunting's kind of just been, with Carolina.
Yeah,
he hasn't been anything special.
Who would have thought playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner would make your life a whole lot easier?
JD, you're trying to tell me, let me pop up these, this line, because I know this for a fact, following hockey betting this year. He was on the first line for Carolina. So he was playing with Sebastian Aho and Teuvo Teravainen. were the two guys. Well, TiVo. It was TiVo and Sveshnikov. Is that how you say it?
Sveshnikov.
Sveshnikov. Those two kind of interchange, but you're playing with Sebastian Aho, which is not Austin Matthews. I'm not going to put them in the same category, but it's not like you're playing with cupcakes.
No, but I think you got to remember, I'm pretty sure, I don't have it at the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Aho has been battling injuries this year.
A little bit. Natchez has been their best player.
Yeah.
Martin Natchez.
Yeah. So, but like to your original question, what are the Penguins doing? And I've seen a lot of Penguins fans get pissed off with with Kyle Dubas, and I'm not even a big Dubas guy. I mean, I'm indifferent with him.
You're probably happy he's no longer with the Leafs.
I mean, honestly, I'll just say this quickly. Honestly, no, because he would have broken up the core four, which is what the Leafs need to succeed, in my opinion. But that's, again, going into a different topic. But basically, what
core four being Matthews, Nylander, Tavares,
and Marner.
Okay.
And I promise you, who wouldn't have traded Tavares or Matthews. So
it would have been Nylander. Nylander wouldn't have got an extension.
No, it probably would have been Marner.
Okay.
Again, but
Penguins.
Yeah, Penguins. So basically, what they're doing is, like, again, people have been getting mad at Dubas, but what it is their owners, I think, wanted. Okay, we have Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and yeah, so we want to go for one last cup, even though it's
not going to be this year.
Yeah,
they're 64 points. They're almost 10 points out of the wild card.
Yeah, so Kyle Dubas, it's been on record where one of his favorite players in the league is Erik Karlsson. They traded for Karlsson in the offseason, right? But again, he's old.
Yeah.
Don't really know what you're doing by trading for him. So I think what it is ownership wanted him to go for it this year, which is why he signed a 7-year contract. Like Dubas signed a 7-year contract there. And basically, I think they're going to go for it this year. They're not going to make the playoffs. Okay, can I please rip down this team and make it my own? Yes, Kyle, you can do that. And then the rebuild starts next year. So that's what I think. I think that this is like, oh, we're still going for it. I mean, we just need to change something up. So we're going to get Michael Bunting. He'll be good for our future because he's still he's like 26, I think, maybe 27.
Let me check. And he is 28.
Okay, 28. So he'll be a cost-controlled player for the next, I think, 3 years or 2 years or whatever. So you have him, and then that's really it. Like, Gensel wasn't a part of the plans. Plus, I'm not familiar with the other guys they got in the trade, honestly.
They're just guys. Yeah. It's bodies. So, that's what I'm looking at it.
Yeah, so I guess Dubas is taking a bet on those guys. Maybe he found some diamonds in the rough.
Maybe they played for that team you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. So I just think that they're preparing for the rebuild. I think they still want to be a little competitive, which is why they traded for Michael Bunting. Because he is a top 6 player in the league. Yeah. So like top 6 of each team, not like top 6 in the NHL.
And you're right. It's 2 more years after this Bunting would have under contract.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I just think, it's unfortunate for Penguins fans who are used to domination for
Well, it's just
years,
this team. But I look at the names on this team, and maybe Penguin fans, like I'm on the outside. I'm a Golden Knights fan, so I'm on the outside looking in. I look at this team and the names on it, and I just go, they should be better. Now, I know this year the one big thing that the Penguins have been just dog water at is the power play.
No,
they can't score on the power play. Like they go on it and teams go, oh, that's actually a positive when it should be a negative. So it's like, I know if you're not capitalizing on those chances, there's no way that you're going to win in this league. But like, I just look at this team and I go, you should be better. You should be better than where you are. Who's the last team you want to mention? I kind of have a feeling who I think it is, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I hate ending on a negative note, but I'm gonna. Another loser for me, and I would argue.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Is it the Kings?
No.
Oh, it's the Red Wings.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
the
I
Red
was
Wings.
one of the two. I thought you were
Yeah,
going to go with the Kings. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So, like I kind of touched on earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the Red Wings, even going into the from the off season, a lot of people were hyping them up because they're young talent. And personally, I still looked at the edges of their team. I don't think they're very good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, JT Compher was a good ad, but sorry, let me say they were my loser because they did legit nothing in then this deadline. Nothing. No minor moves, no nothing. So again, you trade for Alex DeBrincat in the offseason. He's been unreal. Him and Patty Kane. I have Patty Kane in my fantasy team. Been really good. Good for them. They went on a 5-game win streak about a couple weeks ago now, or maybe a 6-game win streak, one of the two. And then now they've lost 5 straight. Now, I know Iserman is all about his Iser plan and oh, we want to build for the future still. Like we're not ready to compete just or well, he didn't really say we're not ready to compete just yet, but he wants to believe in his guys. Brother, come on now. Like Michael Rasmussen, he was a first round pick. He's now a third liner. I mean, he's a good player to have, but he's not him. Like you could have traded for a top 6 guy. Um Like this Red Wings team needed a veteran. They needed somebody who's been there and who's done that. Comfort again, you could say he's that guy coming from Colorado, but you need more than like one. I just find
You could say Patty Kane's that guy, but I would
yeah,
argue Patty Kane's not that guy because I'm not saying this is like Patty Kane's a bad dude,
no,
but Patrick Kane's not the mentor guy.
no,
He's the hey, I'm awesome guy, and I'm gonna
yeah,
score you
like
points.
I don't want to speak for Patty Kane, but I feel like just from interviews, I feel like he's a very introverted kind of guy. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of there, like
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he knows. But I feel like he's the type of guy where he'll give advice to some guys, but he knows what it takes. But he's not so much of hyping the boys up to
Yeah.
be better or whatever. And
He,
then on the
he's not
defense,
I almost just want to do the impersonation. He's not, hi, my name is John Tavares.
oh Ricky, I have a video to show you later, my
Yeah.
guy with John Tavares. You
My
might get a
name is
kick.
John Tavares.
Yeah.
Hello.
So, and then their defense. I mean, you have Mort Sider, who's a beast. Love
Mm-hmm.
him. Ben Sherratt, who's good. But then you have nothing. You're still
Mm-hmm.
employing Justin Hall, who at the time I tried to like. I have a cousin who's a Red Wings fan. He's like, oh well, maybe Justin Hall just needed a change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, he sucks. He's horrible. Get out of here. And yeah, so you did nothing. You have assets. You have lots of assets you could use to make. I'm not saying you have to go all in,
Yeah.
but at least be better. Because now, look, like I kind of said earlier today, I expect the Islanders to win tonight, and I expect them to leapfrog you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how you stop this snowball effect of horror because like this team just isn't great. Their offense is streaky as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's basically like yeah, DeBrincat and Patty Kane are like the only two who are doing anything. Lucas Raymond has had a fine season, but it's just like you couldn't have done something. You couldn't have traded for a bottom pairing defenseman who can actually stabilize that unit. You couldn't have traded for a cost controlled defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, I say it, Matt Dumba, he could have fit well on this team. Again, he's not a great player, but he would definitely have been better than what they have than Oli Mata.
Question for you. The next 5, you tell me wins or losses. You ready?
Yeah.
Tuesday at Buffalo.
I'd say loss.
Okay. I'm going to keep track of this so I know.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, home against the Yotes.
They should win, but they lost to them like on Friday or whatever day it was.
Saturday, home against the Sabres.
I think they could win that one.
Sunday at Pittsburgh.
I'm gonna say Pittsburgh wins.
And then your make or break game next Tuesday, home against the Blue Jackets.
I feel like the Red Wings have struggled against the Blue Jackets this year. I'm pretty sure, so I'm gonna say that's a loss.
So that means this team will be going 3-5. Any of those losses, OT losses or shootout losses?
I could see the Blue Jackets one being like an OT loss. Maybe the Sabres one on the road is an OT loss.
So we'll say +2. So that
Yeah.
means you're getting a possible, what would that be, 8 points in the next
Yeah.
5 games? And guess who they play in that 6th game at home?
Who?
The Islanders.
Hmm.
So you got 5 games, then you play the Islanders, who is the team right below you or maybe right in front of you going into that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight between those two teams for that final wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like, don't get it twisted. I don't think the Islanders are an amazing team either, but
Well, let's play.
I just
Screw it. Let's play the same game.
Yeah.
JD's like, great. So you had 8 points for the Red Wings.
Mhm.
The Islanders play tonight against the Ducks.
Yeah, they're winning.
Then on Monday, so tomorrow, they're at LA to play the Kings on a
I'm gonna say they
back-to-back.
lose that one.
Overtime or no overtime?
No overtime.
Thursday, they're at Buffalo.
I'll say they win that.
Saturday, they're home against Ottawa.
They'll win that.
Next Sunday, a week from today, as we're recording, they're in New York to play the Rangers.
They'll lose that.
Then the next game is a Tuesday game. They're playing the Carolina Panthers.
The Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. I went
okay,
NFL. I went NFL for a second.
Sure if you
they're playing the Canes. They're playing the Canes.
Okay.
I just reverted back to like my comfort zone. Yeah, Bryce Young's gonna skate out there for him.
Yeah. I'll say they lose in overtime.
So basically, you have it. Let's see. They are. How many points did I say they were behind them before? So they're 2 points behind the Red Wings. You had
with
8
a game in hand too.
Yeah. But we're counting in that game. We're counting in tonight's game in this. So 8 points for the Red Wings. You have 3, 6, 9. So based on you have 8 points for the Red Wings, 10 points for the Islanders. Mm-hmm. They will be tied heading into that game in your mind.
Yeah.
They will be tied at, what would that be? 72. So they'll be tied 80-80 going into that game.
Yeah.
Winner take all.
Is that the final time they play this year?
I'm going to look. Let's see. Is that the final time they play this year? Detroit. We're going to move over to schedule. Islanders. Yes.
Yeah. So obviously there could be some hiccups along the way.
Because then the Red Wings have road games against Nashville, Washington, Carolina, Florida. And then in April, they play Tampa, the Rangers, Sabres, Capitals, Penguins, Maple Leafs, and then 2 back-to-back games against the Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Like the Red Wings, I've always seen this year as like a weird team. Like it seems like for a while, it seemed like the only games they were winning were games that had over 6.5 goals in them. Like, if the over hits in that game, the Red Wings are going to win.
Yeah, maybe it's like what I said. Their defense sucks.
So their offense has to overproduce.
Yeah.
Oh, because that was a trend for a while. Like, hey, Red Wings are going to win. Let's bet the over, boys, because usually when they win, the over hits. Any final thoughts, JD, before we wrap this one up?
Now we're in the home stretch. I mean, the deadline was a little more active than I anticipated, which is always a good thing.
I like any sports. I like active deadlines rather than boring no move deadlines.
Yeah. So, and I mean, like I said, like again, we'll get into it in a later video. Don't worry. But I mean, yeah, this trade deadline kind of changed the landscape for the Stanley Cup playoffs, in my opinion. So we're excited. We're in the home stretch.
Yeah, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. Join the Discord. Check out our Patreon. Those links are both down below. Like this video to help the algorithm if you liked it. Hit that sub button if you want to keep in check with everything that we're doing. Hockey fans, if you want more hockey content, let us know. Don't know if we'll be starting a hockey podcast, but we could do more hockey videos for you guys. This is let's be honest, this is basically a hockey podcast we just did because there was so much information in this. Let us know what you guys think down below. For JD and myself, check out all the stuff with the draft room that we got coming up. The NFL draft is just mere days away. We're under 50 days from that coming up. We're very excited about that. Thank you guys for everything you do for JD and myself. As always, have a good day, everybody.
See ya, everyone.
As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.